Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, another one of these early morning workout session uh, ramblings, we'll call it, because these are unscripted. And anyway, it's just a good opportunity for me to create some spontaneous content. And so, in this video, I want to talk about some things that might be holding you back. So, from a personal perspective, something that I've learned over the last few years especially, but definitely in the last decade, is that if anything or anyone is holding you back from achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve, it's ourselves. So what I mean by that is, if you are discovering that you have some sort of belief that there's some exterior circumstance, person, place, or thing that is impeding your success and in the way of you doing whatever it is that you want to do in this life, and therefore stopping you from being content or being happy, experiencing the fullness of life that you feel that you deserve, then I would invite you to take a step back and examine kind of the process by which you come to that conclusion. And that is, if you're thinking that it's something out there external, where does that thought start? It starts internally, right? You have a thought happens, it's around whatever the circumstances, or whatever, let's just call it a limiting belief. But before it becomes a limiting belief that actually stops you from doing something, you have to believe it. You have to agree with it. And so I think just that investigation kind of shines light on the fact that between the layer of thought, the things that are, kind of passing by that we can latch onto, and then us latching onto it, there's that decision that gets made by you, whether or not you agree with or disagree with, or in other words, believe this thing. And so it can be really easy to forget that we're the ones choosing to believe these limiting beliefs. So, for example, if you say, I'll never have a lot of money because I don't have an education, and I can't get an education because I don't have a lot of money. That's a limiting belief, because you're immediately creating these very narrow kind of guidelines for what it means to have a lot of money, right? You're saying that only people who have education can have a lot of money, and because you don't have money, you can't get an education because education costs money. So you've decided that this is exactly how it is. It can't be any other way. There's no possibility of any other variation of this, and therefore you're stuck in this place with no options. And so that can spiral downwards, because if you subscribe to that belief, then you're going to start applying that to everything in your life, and you're going to continue creating this mountain of limiting beliefs that you're unable to do this or that because of something that you believe. So again, these are internal beliefs that you're projecting on the external world around you and believing. And so if you zoom out and you look at how all this is coming to play, and you realize that it starts inside of you, and you're the one choosing to do the action of the believing, of the agreeing with the thought, then hopefully you'll realize a couple things. One, hopefully you'll realize that you have the ability to also disagree or ignore these thoughts, or question these thoughts and beliefs. Question the thoughts before they become a belief, or if you have an existing belief, question it to the point where maybe you can negate it or dissolve it, or form a new belief that is more empowering. And I always do this. Every time I make a list, I'm like 1. And then by the time I get to 2, my brain's like, what was 2? But anyway, 2, hopefully you'll realize that as long as you're here in this existence, then you have unlimited options. There's limitless potential. And so it's really easy for us to look around us and get caught up in the ideas that are flying through our mind and latching onto them, and without question just saying, yeah, that's true. So you look around at your circumstances and you don't see any options in your view, and then your brain assigns a belief to that there are no options, and you're stuck, and you continue habituating that belief, and then because you're subscribing to it, you put that on everything else in your life, and you just keep falling into this cycle of stuckness. And so what I'm inviting you to do here is to zoom out and take a moment to kind of realize how the process works, that it starts from within, and that you are in fact the intelligent and creative being that gets to decide what you believe and also what you don't believe. And you can take limiting beliefs and turn them on their head and realize that you do have limitless potential for anything. And so this is something that you can pay lip service to, but it really has to be experienced firsthand. So you have to take time on your own and think through this. Think about things that in your own life you've been believing your whole life, and that can be anything. It's things that you've heard, things that you've read, things that have been told to you, maybe even things that you've experienced and interpreted in a certain way based on previous experiences. So it's all stacking and habituated over your lifetime, where now you have an inclination to have a certain set of beliefs based on your past experience. And so while having memory and all that is wonderful and useful, it can also be a double-edged sword, because it's very easy to create new experiences based on old ones that in the past you decided were a certain way, when what we don't realize is that's just our perspective of it. And so anybody else looking in from a different perspective might have seen it differently, and we ourselves could have experienced it differently if we had different beliefs about whatever it was that occurred. So the two main things here is to invite you to realize that you're in control of how you feel about what's happening around you, your circumstances, and the potential for success. Okay? And so if you're telling yourself that there's no possible way that you're going to be successful because of limiting belief, and you take these various things that you think are evidence, just take a moment and realize that even though it seems like maybe the evidence is out there and you're identifying it as something external, truly it's something on the inside that you're creating. And so in that same vein of thinking, if you have the ability to create these limiting beliefs, you also have the ability to A, negate them, dissolve them, get rid of them, or B, create new, more empowering beliefs that you can do the thing, that you will do the thing. It's only a matter of time until you do the thing. And then you can create a more positive intention and keep focus on that thing until it has materialized. And it may not end up looking like how you thought it was going to look. It may actually be better. And that kind of goes into the next thing, which is we think internally that we don't have options because we don't see them. We're not able to imagine them. So take a moment to realize that we don't know everything, and truly there's limitless options. The evidence is all around us throughout history of people coming from nothing and achieving their dreams, whatever those may be. Okay? All these people that have done these extraordinary things in history were just everyday people. You may find this or that person that you feel like, oh, they started with some advantage, and that's true for some. But a lot of people started with nothing and were able to achieve amazing things, and that's happening right now all around us. So there's no reason why it can't happen for you. And I think you'll find that kind of the unifying factor between all these various people and their successes is that each and every one of them realized and told themselves that they were capable of achieving this thing, and then they focused on it, and they had the intention of achieving it until it was done. So lots more that I could talk about on this subject and tangential subjects off of it, but basically the takeaway is that you are in control of your destiny, basically. You just have to convince yourself that you are. And so obviously that's easier said than done, and it takes a certain level of, for lack of a better word, faith. Basically understanding that there's an intelligence within you and around you that is capable of much more than maybe what you can see for yourself in this very moment, and trusting in that, and trusting in the process, and focusing on what you can manage and what you can achieve, and being expectant and hopeful of things that you may not be able to see immediately, but know are out there, have the potential of being out there, and just working towards those things until you achieve whatever it is you want to achieve in life. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you all next time.